Archery vlog. Two things that I'm really enjoying at the moment. Number one, making fun of people who wear Crocs. Number two, actually wearing Crocs. Life is good. It's finally here after 3 months and 2 weeks. That's how long it took to get a roller guard out of Matthews. So if you live in Australia and you want to buy Matthews, just something to think about. Maybe you should have a second bow. So to their credit, they did send it to me free of charge, even though it was my fault. So that's good. And the shop, Apex, sent me a handwritten apology and best wishes for Christmas and some stickers, which is lovely of them. They've been great the whole time. They've been doing their best to try and manage the supply chain as best they could. But yes, trying to get parts out of Matthews is very, very time consuming. So I broke my bow on the 10th of September and it is now the day before Christmas. And now I can use it again. So yay me, yay, yay. So let's chuck the old girl in a press and install my new lovely U-Butte roller guard. So this is my roller guard as it stands at the moment. I bought this part from China. It was like $20 and it came in about 6 days. But it was a little bit wrong. I had to get a washer to fit that axle in there properly, because that's the original Matthews stalk and roller guard assembly, just held together with an axle from eBay from China, and it almost was perfect, but yeah, so there's two smaller screws than usual in there, and they needed a little dented washer to make it fit properly. But now that we've got the genuine part, we'll rip that one out and put the new one back in. Well, there you have it. That was pretty simple. It was just take a couple of turns out of the limb bolts to loosen it off a bit. I was going to put it in the press, but turns out you don't need to. There's enough play in the cables if you take a few turns off those limb bolts and just pull those cables off, undo the axle, and then whack the new one in there, put them back on again, and Robert's your father's brother. Very good. Time to go and do some zeroing, I think. I'm going to check the zero, and I've actually got my 75 pound modules on there at the moment, but I'm thinking about going back to 70 pounds, not because 75's difficult or anything, but because my 75 pound modules, I ordered them in 28.5 inches, and I thought at the time it felt better than the 29 inches that my 70 pound mods are, but I'm going to go back to 70 and that longer draw length and see how that feels. So I think 28.5 is just a little whisker too short. So yeah, we'll go back to 29. Right, so we are back on 70 pounds at 29 inches and ready to rock. A couple of weeks back I also went down and sold one of my air guns and visited Abbey Archery on the way home in Brisbane, just because I was on that side of town, and I picked up some bits and bobs to fit out both of my bows so that I have two fully functional bows. I got a single pin sight from Trophy Taker, and I also got a HHA Virtus drop away arrow rest. So I put the optimizer light and the Virtus on the Vertex, and so that's got a full complement of HHA gear on it now, and the Bear has the original Trophy Taker arrow rest and the new sight on it, so that one's all set up as well. And I just haven't zeroed that one yet because that cheaper single pin sight isn't quite as nice. I haven't got around to it yet. It's sort of not really micro click adjustable. You have to use an Allen key to loosen it, then move it however far you want to move it, then tighten it up again. So I haven't been super enthusiastic about messing around with that, but hopefully we'll get that done today. So I'll go down and zero with my Vertex first, and I've got to do the little sight tapes, but I'm shooting in meters, not in yards. So I've had to like snip up the sight tape and just move it up and down and put it wherever it's meant to go. which is fine, I guess, because it's easy to do and it's going to be more accurate that way than it would be if I was just using the estimated ranges on the tape anyway, so happy days. Here's my target. We're just running a recycled plastic bale that you can get from any of the big box stores that import a lot of things from China. Generally they come wrapped in pallet wrap, and then they chuck that pallet wrap into a compactor and it bales it up into these nice big plastic bales, and you can get them for free most of the time. And I just buy the black plastic pallet wrap from the same shop and then wrap it up and throw some yellow sticky tape on there, and then there you go, free target. It'll stop any arrow from pretty much any bow too. The 70-pound Vertex shoots that 420 grain arrow at about 310 feet per second, and it only goes about 3 inches into this thing, so yeah, it's great, very good. These idiots over here, seems like no matter where I put my target, they always want to be behind it, so I'm going to have to angle this away. So it would seem my point of impact is ever so slightly lower, which is to be expected, I guess, with that extra 5-ish pounds taken off from that different mod. But the draw length feels great. Feels a lot more stable at 29 than it did at 28.5. I think I'll either trade or sell my my other 28.5 inch mods, I think, and just buy a 29-inch 75-pound mod, and that'll probably get me there. So pretty good though. We'll get a few more reps in, warm up, iron out the kinks, get used to the new draw length, and have a good old time. I reckon we might push that sight right ever so slightly. It'll be probably 1 inch, 8 clicks. Nice and easy on this one. It's a little better. Wind's blowing my bow around a little bit though, so I reckon I'll probably leave the windage there, even though it is still tilting a little bit to the right. This bow really is a joy to shoot. I got used to, and actually got pretty good with the bear while I was waiting for this this part to arrive. I was shooting all the way out to 100 meters, and I was getting reasonably good groups because I was practicing every day. I've since been a little bit slack and haven't really shot either of them for a little while, but getting back into it now, especially during the holidays. So get out of there, you bastard. Here we go. It'll be good to see how this goes once I get practiced with it, because it feels so nice. Yeah, sort of get a little bit carried away with how much you love the bow that you're using at the time. Mine, the Bear, is such a nice bow to use as well, but when you compare it to one that's 3 times the price, you can really see where the difference comes from. This one is just, the Vertex is just infinitely smoother and just creamy to pull back. On the draw cycle, there's no sort of lumpiness, there's no harshness to it. Even though it is a 70-pound draw, you just pull it back and it's nice and even the whole way. Whereas with the Bear, the cams are a little bit smaller, so it has a harsher draw cycle. You pull it back and there's like a big lump that you have to pull through right in the middle, and it's fine, it's all good. When you have a fast shooting bow like that one, you sort of expect there to be a bit of a lump in the draw, but with this one, same speed, if not a little bit quicker, no lump, very nice and very smooth. So very happy to be back on the Vertex. Feels better every time I shoot it. Delightful. Mint. Well, that's the cobwebs pretty much blown out. I reckon we're on at 20 there. So I'm going to head back up to the house and move my little 20 meter sight tape thingy just up a smidgy, and then come back and do the rest of them. Ooh. Tell you what, it's overcast and it's very humid, and it's a little bit windy, which means I reckon we're going to get some serious weather tomorrow and the next day. Probably usually when this happens there's hail on the way. So, but every time the clouds part and that sun peeks its ugly head through the clouds, I can feel myself burning straight away. It's definitely still summer. So I'm out here at 40 meters now, got 30 dialed in and 40's pretty much ready to rock. I'm just playing with my high-speed camera. I'll throw some footage in. I love seeing this in 1,000 frames a second, watching the cams do their job and the arrows slowly take off and head off down the range. Looks really cool. This is the camera that I'm using. Little tiny tacker. This is a Sony RX100 Mark V. This is the original Mark V, not the Mark V-A, but pretty sweet little camera. Has its own little internal ND filter and everything, and rips frames off that little tiny sensor of it. So excellent camera. Originally bought it to do scope cam work, but very rarely do I ever actually use my scope cam. I normally just use it for doing fun stuff like this. So not to worry, very happy with it still. The only downside to this super slow-mo type stuff is it's very tricky to film yourself. It's very user-friendly if you're filming somebody else, but it's kind of hard to get the focus right and all of those things if you're not standing in front of it while you're operating it, and you kind of have to fire the shot and then race around and press the button to record the last however many seconds of footage that it's captured. So it's a bit awkward, but yeah, when it does come out good, it comes out real good. Well, sun's going down and the wind is picking up and it's blowing me all over the target. I got a bit sidetracked. I had to go and help a friend slaughter some sheep. So I got blood all over me Crocs. Bloody hell. But whatever. Still a wonderful day on the range. This is my last group. Not a terrible group, not fantastic work, but they're all sort of, about a hand's width apart. I don't know, 3 inches, 4 inches. So not too bad at 40 meters for being as rusty as I am, but I think I'll clean that up over the next week or two as get a bit of practice in every day with the beautiful Matthews Vertex. Very happy with the way it's shooting. It feels great. But yeah, so maybe just a little bit more elevation and then I'll call it good for 40, and yeah, that'll be that. That'll probably do us for today. Got to go and get a workout in and get several beers in before the evening is done. So yeah, if you like the video, smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Hopefully I'll be getting a couple of good videos out as time goes on, because I do have a little bit of time off now over the Christmas break, so hopefully regular uploads. So yeah, Merry Christmas, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.